It's Thursday, November 29th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuous running tech podcast. This is show number 820, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our November special for all new and existing GoDaddy customers, 295.coms. Use promo code GEEK295 or take 20% off your total order using promo code GO20 off too. Hey, got a great show lined up for you tonight. And yeah, you did hear correctly, 295.com. So we'll share about that in a few minutes. Lots to talk about. Boy, oh boy, can't believe it's almost the month of December. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome you to the Geek News Central podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of our show. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks a lot for being a supporter of this great show. We're at episode 820. Pretty remarkable. Just had someone tell me in the chat room that the live stream wasn't working, so let me double check that real quick and make sure that it's up and running, and that we're good for the folks that are. Yeah, everything looks good. The stream is good, so we're up and we're good to go. Hey, I want to give you an opportunity to take some time to check out geeknewscentral.com. Get over to the website. You know, we've got lots of great things to offer at GNC. You know, every day, my writers over there are doing a fantastic job in bringing you absolutely outstanding content. And what I want you to really do is, you know, if you're not visiting the site on a daily basis, please take the time to come back over to Geek News Central and do so. Lots of great content being put up by the writers. And, of course, while you're there, you want to get subscribed to the to podcast, sign up for the newsletter. It's all there in the second column of the website on how to do that. And it doesn't matter if you check in via the audio show or the video show, it's all good. And we definitely want you to be part of the Ohana here and being basically staying abreast of what's going on tech-wise, because we're getting a lot of traction on the website. We've worked hard, spent a lot of money in growing the viewership, listenership of this show over the past year. And really, it's a lot of the growth probably has to do with our great writers. So as always, you can reach me here real easy on the show by going on Twitter and tweet me at Geek News. You can email me geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, the voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. Or you can real easily just, click over to the website, click on the send comment button. That brings up basically send a voice message to me link, and you can start recording right over your webcam and send a message to the show. Hey, getting subscribed, again, is really the most important part, because that way you'll never miss an episode. It'll automatically be downloading. Do that via iTunes. Those of you on Windows Phone 8 can grab the show still via the Zune Marketplace. Those of you that are on Windows 8, we've got if you look for the Podcast Producer app, you'll be able to subscribe to the show via Windows 8, so there's a way there. And, of course, Android users, there's a variety of different ways to stay connected. We're streaming the stream tonight on Livestream, Ustream, and, of course, our ad-free stream over at basically using our Amazon Flash Media server. For those of you joining us live, thanks for basically being here and watching the show. Don't forget that you can visit techpodcast.com, find a lot of other great content, all basically child safe. All the shows over there are creating G-rated content, so we hope that you get over to Tech Podcast and check out the family shows. Of course, you see up there on those of you that are watching, you can see that the Gadget Professor just released an episode. Matter of fact, that's fresh on the website at Geek News Central, right at the very top right now. We also had Robot Underpants put out a show earlier today, so that's available. Lots of great content on both those shows. This week, Langley did episode number 77, and they talked about some stuff that happened during Thanksgiving, talked about Waterworld news, talked about Batman, Star Wars, talked about RoboCop. And on the Gadget Professor, they covered a variety of different topics, specifically a monitor cleaning tool, elastic and anti-static brush, some screen cleaning spray and gel, and also talks about uses for those different types of products. They also talk about some free software choices. So check out the Gadget Professor and Robot Underpants. Gadget Professor is just booming. I mean, hey, this show's growing like crazy. So congratulations to Don and Mike for putting on a great show. We're going to have lots of more great content for you over the next several months as we're getting ready to head out to CES. If you missed us live, don't worry. You can check us out on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, Apple TV, your smartphone, your iPad, your Android, your tablet, your Kindle, you name it, you can get the show. And we're available via the Tech Podcast channel on most of those devices except for iOS 6. If you're on iOS 6, just come over to the website at geeknewscentral.com and pick the mobile version, and you'll be subscribed and be able to stay tuned in. Want to give a very big thank you to our sponsors. We're here at the end of the month, last show of the month. Sponsors are really what help me keep the lights on here. It's critically important that you support them, and that in order for them to continue to supporting the show, we definitely, our goal is to drive business to them and give you a special deals that are very hard to resist. And I'm going to tell you, I got an email, I believe it was on Wednesday, from my rep over at GoDaddy. And he was basically saying, Todd, I've got a deal that is unheard of. I've never seen it before. Corporate came down and handed this out. This is basically a Christmas present come early. And what they are making available is an extremely good offer. $2.95.coms. And I'm just like, I said, huh? $2.95? He said, yeah. And I'm like, we were talking about doing a website builder promotion where we'd get you like a little package deal. But he says, this is too good to resist. So $2.95 through the end of the year, folks. And this comes with some other free stuff too. You can get a one-page website, personalized email, photo albums, and more. So again, at $2.95.com. And this is, I mean, just absolutely incredible. You know, we had the $4.95 deal that was essentially going until the 7th of December. And they preempted that by introducing this Geek 295 code. So you can find all my codes over at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, or clicking on the GoDaddy link on the website. That gives you all of the codes that are basically available. And again, that 295 code there is for you to use. And when you click on that, it's going to take you over to the GoDaddy site. It's going to talk about the special offer, limitations up to 3 domains. And, you know, here's, I think, the kind of I registered 3. And then like a day later, I went back and I registered a couple more. So you can get, it says up to 3, but I've had luck so far in getting more than 3. So $2.95 each, my friends. This is just incredible. So buy them in 3s and use my code. And there's lots of information there on basically on the GoDaddy website builder and so forth. So this is a great way to get started with my friends over at GoDaddy. I did want to see if I have this available. Let me see if I can find this real quick. And I was supposed to have this queued up, but I did not. Do I have this? Do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? And let me talk about a few other things while I try to find this. Shoot. Boy, I tell you, sometimes being on time is fine, but when you forget to load something, and it's very important because I've got something very cool to share with you. This came in, and it's an audio clip, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I just got to get it loaded. Got to find it. Like a knucklehead, I didn't have this up, so let me Let's see here. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. So I'm talking to myself here, trying to find this real close, real fast. And there we go. Let's put that name in there. That'll find it. And is this it? Oh, yes, here it is. So let me download this. All right, now, if I've got this, do I have this plugged in? You can tell I was really prepared, right? So let's see if this will play.
Hi, this is Danica Patrick, racing star and GoDaddy girl. I rely on my race team to make my cars lean and mean. And I know the geek here at Geek News Central relies on the team at GoDaddy for lean, mean web products like domain names, hosting, and email. Check out all of Todd's great GoDaddy deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy.
So that was Danica Patrick and doing a little promo for us. Was that awesome or what? So we'll hear from Danica from time to time. And check out all your GoDaddy deals. And thanks for Danica for doing the little intro for us. And like I said, I should have had that preloaded and been able to just throw that up there for you guys. Piss poor planning on my part for sure. But anyway, let's go ahead and switch gears. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on here. And then we'll get into the content here in just a few minutes. Really, at this point, what I'm really working on, and it's kind of one of those things where I know I've got 2 weeks. I know I'm going to be gone a week because I'm leaving for Texas Saturday night, and I'll be back a week from Saturday. We are going to have the Saturday morning tech show. I do want to kind of make a quick announcement that I brought Rob Greenlee on as one of the official hosts of Saturday morning tech. He'll be co-hosting Saturday morning tech. We even work it so that Rob does Saturday morning tech maybe while I'm not available. Rob has been working on getting us some great guests. We've got a great guest this weekend coming on. So definitely you want to tune in for Saturday morning tech. We're going to be getting started at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, or 7 a.m. here in Honolulu when you guys are off daylight savings time, or on, whichever it is, because we don't change the clocks here. But what I've been working on is putting together the 24-hour podcast topics. And I'm really, I'm kind of torn. I know what I want to do, but I also want to make sure that we make sure the audience here gets as much out of that show as possible. So what I want to do is I want to basically solicit from all of you some topics. What do you want to hear, whether it be tech, whether it be about new media, podcasting? Who's somebody you would like to hear from on the show? Who did you join in the past? So on Saturday, December 15th, starting at 6 a.m. Honolulu time or 12 noon Eastern, we'll start the 24-hour podcast, and we'll kick off the first part of the show with an early start to Saturday morning tech. Then we'll go right into, actually, I'll do some prelims for about the first half hour, but we're going to go 24 hours. And I want to fill the content of that show so that I'm as motivated as you are to come and watch and listen, because it is a huge undertaking on my part to sit here in this chair for 24 hours and talk to a variety of different guests. It goes quicker when we have lots of cool guests, lots of interaction, lots of people that are coming in as part of in the chat room and doing great conversations. I really want you to really lock down your Saturday that day. If you can keep from going out and doing Christmas shopping and everything else, I really want you involved in the 24-hour podcast on December 15th. So send me your topics. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want us to cover? What guests do we want to have in? We can have as many as 2 guests at a time that can come in via Skype, and we can have them on and have great discussions. So send me your comments about what you want for the 24-hour show, and I will definitely work that really hard in getting those folks in and on. And can't guarantee what time, but I'm going to work on the agenda heavily this next 2 or 3 days, and then start locking people in for that event because it's going to be fast approaching. Also, I'm going to be doing a special show for the insiders. I feel that I deserve to put out at least one show for the Geek News Central insiders. And those of you that haven't become an insider, this is a great time to become one because, boy, we're just ramping up a huge amount of expenses, getting ready for CES, and my focus is going to shift to that here in a couple of weeks heavily. So, great time to come in as an insider and help us out. And I'm going to do a special show for you guys, and I think you'll enjoy it a lot. It's going to be really tech centric. It's going to be very focused. It's not going to have a lot of jibber jabber. It's going to give you guys a lot of cool stuff to look at and look forward to. And I'll probably do that just before Christmas and give you guys really a nice taste of what's to come in January. It's a special thank you to all of our insiders. So this is a great time to come in at $2, $5, $10, $25 a month or a one-time donation at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Do want to share with you, I've been using a program called Hootsuite for the past, about the past week. I paid for the $9.95 a month plan. It's got it so you can schedule tweets. And basically, I've got this control panel that looks at the Geek News Central tweet feed, my Facebook page. It looks at all the Google Plus stuff. It's stuff on LinkedIn. Looks at TPN stuff. So there's a huge amount of information here that I really can keep at my fingertips without having to reload tab after tab after tab. And I'm pretty impressed with this program. So if you have never used Hootsuite, it's maybe something you want to check out. Not getting any, obviously no money for promoting this. Is my own personal recommendation. And they're going to continue to build this thing out over time. And I encourage you to definitely check it out. For those of you that are watching the show, got to put on the specs. I've been in front of the computer pretty much all day today, and my eyeballs are strained to the max. So got to put on the specs and continue here with the show. I've gotten semi-used to these progressive lenses, and sometimes you'll see me move my head a little weird because I'm trying to stay in focus, and I'm still not 100% comfortable with these. At some point, I just got to break down and buy a set of computer glasses and be done with it and not worry about having to do this, use the transitions all the time. All right, let's see here. What have I got in my short list here before we get into the show? As I said, in a couple of weeks, my focus is really going to get cranked up on CES. You're already starting to see articles up on Geek News Central on some of the pre-show announcements with some of the articles. I've been forwarding so much stuff to my writing team. They just don't have time to cover it all. But here in a couple of days, we'll change agendas with them, and I'll basically kind of direct a lot of the content that's going to be coming on the website. So we'll keep you advised on that. We'll be talking with the writing team. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got in my regular stack of stuff here. Let's take care of last sponsor spot. And, of course, thank our longtime sponsor on the show, GoToMeeting, for being a sponsor here. And I'm going to tell you, I was talking with the media team today, and we were kind of going over, all of the functions and all the great features that GoToMeeting has right now. And, one thing to remember is that you can use your iPad, you can use your desktop, whether it be PC or Mac, to hold and direct a meeting. That's really important, and use the HD Faces functions. So, if you're using a different device, if you're using your iPhone, you can only basically attend. You're not going to be able to see the HD Faces feature of it. And so it's really important to have, the right tools when you're using this great product. So, as you're getting ready to try GoToMeeting or using GoToMeeting, just remember you can use your PC, your Mac, or your iPad to host and or attend meetings with the HD Faces, all the features. So, when we meet in person, and like those of you that are actually watching the show, you can see my expressions on the show. You can see, how I react to stuff and my facial expressions. The raise of the eyebrow, a nod of agreement, or the grimace. And, you can do that when you're together, but when you're spread out and you're not basically online with each other with GoToMeeting, it's nearly impossible to have a great meeting. So that's why I recommend GoToMeeting with HD Faces. You can meet face-to-face with colleagues and clients no matter where they are, anywhere in the world. GoToMeeting takes simple online meetings a big step forward with really the highest quality HD video conferencing. You can build trust, you can stay focused, and you can turn your business ideas into actions. With one click, you can share your screen to work with others on the same document. It's easy to launch, join a meeting from anywhere using computer, phone, tablet, again. And of course, now you can present with the iPad. So, you guys know how much I love this product, and it's part of my arsenal to be able to do business. And really, my business would not be where it is today without this great product. And really, it's real simple to get started with Citrix GoToMeeting. And really, what I want you to do is I want you to go over to GoToMeeting.com and get a free 30-day trial. And you don't have to wait. You can do this right now. You can go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. Remember to use that promo code podcast. Again, GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. Meeting is believing, and I tell you, I believe in meeting with GoToMeeting. And thanks, GoToMeeting, for being a sponsor here. And definitely check that out. We definitely appreciate their support, and look forward to having them back next month. All right, let's go ahead and get into the full-blown tech content. Someone was saying in the chat room, he was saying, oh, yeah, Sperling, he says, I was thinking about going to CES just to say hello to you and the crew from Blueberry. Well, it's the crew from Tech Podcast. It's the TPN team that'll be at CES. So it's not the Blueberry team. It's the Tech Podcast team. And while I'll be there in, there's basically that team is what is going to have Andy McCaskey, Jeffrey Powers, Daniel is going to be with us. We'll have a Gadget Professor will be there. Boy, I'm going to blow this here. The F5 Live guys, we've got 6 primary teams and then a whole bunch of support people as well. We'll get into that later and talk about that whole group, but it's going to be fantastic. So, and as well, you're talking about Hootsuite is great for Twitter, and of course it works great for those other social networks as well that I mentioned. All right, let me load up Chrome because that's where I've got everything loaded here for tonight, and we can close that one. There's a good article start off here on GigaOM with Jeff Bezos talking about the beauty of low margins and building a reusable spacecraft. And it's kind of a like, wow, he's going to build spacecraft now. Well, they are doing some pretty amazing things with AWS, with their web services platform. And, they've been releasing some incredible numbers this week during their AWS reInvest show. And there was discussions with their CTO and a variety of different folks that came on to talk about where their services are headed and some of the stuff that they're introducing. And I'm going to tell you from a scale standpoint and pricing standpoint, they announced a 25% discount in S3 storage. And, if you store as much stuff as we do, we have to store all of our hosting account files online. And I tell you, a 25% decrease in S3 storage is incredible. And we're pretty happy with this new announcement. But, they're doing some pretty amazing things. They are. And for a company that's, needs to grow and scale, they really got the ability to do so. So definitely, if you want to check out the what's going to happen with Amazon Web Services over the next year, you'll definitely want to link up to some of the topics I'll have in the show notes tonight to review. Now, I pre-ordered this particular product, and it's called iBats. And actually, I got a press release from the PR person on this as well, and I think they're sending me one of these. But iBats is the first iPhone 5 case that gives you an extra clip-on battery. So this basically allows us to, get extra juice when we need it. It's an $80 2500 mAh Mojo Hi-Fi power bank case. Comes in white or black. And this is pretty good. This is, this gives you lots of extra power. And, I pre-ordered this thing, and I'm hoping it'll be here in a couple of days. The iPhone 5 that we've upgraded to at Raw Voice should be. Actually, we thought UPS was going to drop it today, So this battery case could not come a day too soon because I know that as I use my phone, I kill the battery on a regular basis. And for a show like CES, you just gotta have the extra juice because there's just no time to go charge up. But if you've got an iPhone 5, you'll definitely want to use the iBats case. Now, I do want to share with you guys, I've been using, and I'm becoming a true junkie here on Android as well. Let me see if this is, oh, it's not on right now. I had to turn it off earlier. This LG Optimus G phone that I have been using, and I've been trying to use this pretty dedicated over the past couple of weeks since I've had it. I could see myself getting to a point where I'm going to want two phones. I really never thought I would get to that point. And, some people say, why would you need two phones? And, call me crazy. But I've absolutely fell in love with this phone. So, I've got the need to have a corporate phone and a need to have a personal phone. And I'm definitely going to, I think, go and keep this and put a different SIM card in it. And definitely, basically once the trial time is over and run it myself. It's definitely a pretty amazing phone. The cores in this Optimus G, when I'm in like running like a bunch of apps at once, it's like it's not even like breathing hard. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. And it's definitely from a tech junkie standpoint. I mean, it has got everything. It's amazing. After being on the iPhone for so long, I kind of forgot the power of being able to customize and rearrange stuff and delete where it's just that's the way I kind of lost my way a little bit. And but I'm starting to really love this phone, and I've loaded a lot of apps on it and playing with it. I think my favorite app still is the Wi-Fi analyzer, and you can, if those of you that are watching, you can see the Wi-Fi picture here in my neighborhood, and I can track 8 now signals that have come up and see where there's challenges with channel overlap and so forth. And if I need to readjust my router, I can. And it's just slick, and there's nothing like that on the iPhone from an app standpoint. But this has got a pretty good battery too, and I haven't been killing it using it all day. Whereas my iPhone 4S, I have this Mophie juice pack on, and every day at about 3 o'clock, whether I'm using it or not, I need to click the little battery over and let it go on charge because I'm almost out of juice. So, I don't know if it's just because the battery's better in the LG or what, but it's definitely, the battery lasts a lot longer, and it's kind of surprised me. It really has. So, but anyway, this iBats inconspicuous iPhone 5 case gives you the extra clip-on battery, which is important. And, it weighs your phone down a little bit, but who cares if you got juice? That's the main thing, right? Okay, so let's switch gears here a little bit and talk about some stuff that's going on in the European space. There's a lot of BitTorrent owners that are fearing European domain name seizures. So we know that there was a new round of domain name seizures targeted at retailers of counterfeit goods, and this has operators of BitTorrent sites worried. For the first time, this operation that happened the day before Thanksgiving seized not only U.S. domains, but also several European-controlled domains as well. And the general belief among a group of BitTorrent site owners is that the takedowns are a test case for an international effort targeted at file sharing and streaming related sites. So this is a interesting move here. Now, we know that the Pirate Bay traded its .org domain for Swedish .se earlier this year. Other BitTorrent sites, including Demonoid and Torrents, Kick-Ass Torrents, took similar measures, and those operators chose domain names that didn't fall underneath the jurisdiction of the United States under the assumption that they are better protected. However, yesterday it became clear that this is not necessarily the case. Now, on Cyber Monday, ICE announced yet another round of seizures that this time was with the assistance of European law enforcement agencies and Europol, dubbed transatlantic. So they coordinated seizures of foreign-based top-level domain names such as .eu, .be, .dk, .fr, .ro, and .uk. So there was 31 domains seized by ICE in conjunction with these other agencies. So people are freaking out now that they feel that they could be targeted next. They don't know where they're going to be safe. So this is an interesting move. And we'll see where this leads, and we'll see if these folks have chosen wisely in the domains that they picked up. And further file sharing news: TV Shack admin Richard O'Dyer will not be extradited to the United States. Basically, he made a deal where he's his mother is going to fly to the United States and basically pay off the copyright police here. And so he's basically not going to be prosecuted in the U.S. and has agreed to pay a quote-unquote small sum compensation to rights holders. And basically, he's not going to have to come here and face potential jail time. They haven't said how much he's going to have to pay or what the payoff is. I'm sure it's not an inconsequential amount of money. So we'll see. And they say they're going to talk about it in the near future. I've rolled over my headphone cable here. There we go. Now, of course, I've just probably damaged that, and it's clicking in my ear now. Fantastic. Well, at the same time, so anyway, this his mom's going to come here and, I guess, write a check. So this is a win by some people, but at the same time, other sites are a little worried that this may embolden. And we're going to talk about emboldening the folks that are behind these types of these types of prosecutions. The father of the raided 9-year-old girl basically settled the case for 300 euros. Of course, this was a story that we talked about out of Finland, where a 9-year-old girl was raided by the police and her Winnie the Pooh laptop was seized, literally. And basically, her father has paid anti-piracy group CPAC 300 euros cash to make this all go away. So he was effectively shook down after they shook his house down. So, it's the folks over there at CIPAC are very happy, and I'm sure this will result in more go-afters, I guess, going after more people in Finland. And of course, the 6-strike anti-piracy plan that was supposed to launch tomorrow has basically been delayed. It's been delayed to 2013. The much-debated 6-strike anti-piracy scheme was supposed to kick off the United States, but that is not going to happen. The Center for Copyright and Information announced that the ISPs are not ready to send warnings just yet, citing Hurricane Sandy is one of the reasons for the delay. The scheme is now expected to take off early next year if everything goes according to the updated schedule. Now, this is a second or third delay, so it's kind of an interesting move here on what's going on. But this has been a push, and so we got a few more days of, I guess, before they start sending out letters. Now, there's an interesting article over on Extreme Tech where this guy's saying, thanks to ISP/Hollywood 6-strike rules, he says, I'm now using a VPN. So he's a little bit worried that just normal use could cause him to be flagged. He says, as of Tuesday night this week, I'm now using a VPN. VPNs are services that anonymize your browsing and or peer-to-peer traffic in exchange for a monthly fee starting at about $10 a month. And he goes on to talk about why he decided to subscribe to a VPN. He says the tone and statements of the MOU stand in stark contrast to the vindictive practices and bombastic rhetoric of both the MPAA and the RIAA have leveled at the public for the past 12 years. He says Soap and Pipa weren't unusual one-time blips. They were the latest in a series of sustained efforts to grant unprecedented enforcement authority to corporations in the name of stopping piracy. When they failed, former Senator and current MPAA President Chris Dodd threw a temper tantrum that would have embarrassed a bratty toddler. He goes on to say, for more than a decade, the RIAA, MPAA, and sister organizations like the IFPI have lobbied for harsher punishments and greater ISP snooping. Earlier this year, Dodd claimed that the Google filter in China proved the company could monitor and filter results in the U.S. as well. Says, speaking of Google, the amount of vitriol directed at the company from the Capitol Hill has been astonishing. There's been a concerted push to dismiss the censorship and monitoring concerns of Google and other organizations, companies, nothing more than a smokescreen that cloaks the earnings these companies make from piracy. He goes on to say that after SOAP and PIPA failed, RIAA's CEO Gary Sherman claimed that Google and Wikipedia purport to be neutral sources of information, but then exploited their stature to present information that's not only not neutral, but affirmatively incomplete and misleading. Dodd explicitly threatened to cut donations to politicians and refused to vote the way the MPAA thought they should. So he says there's no barrier for ISPs. And, so what's happening now is he feels that there is this concentrated effort to create a premier media and entertainment company that is going to control everything that goes on in the internet with MSNBC, Sci-Fi, Comcast, Bravo, Style, NBC, Telemundo, Fandango, and all these variety of brands that control media. He says Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner don't own the media properties that Comcast does, but all these corporations see premium content agreements as the lifeblood of their futures. In other words, they are wanting to, they want to control all this. So he is concerned with the way this policy's been set up, that this detection software they're going to be using called Mark Monitor very well, and it could be giving false results. He says many Mark Monitor's detection and evaluation steps are handled by humans. He said that's a good thing, particularly given the well-publicized screw-ups of the automatic system in a few months. But Mark Monitor's ability to evaluate whether or not those files are being used for scenarios that fall under fair use is limited. So what happens when you have a movie that you've bought, you've encrypted, and you upload to a place like, S3 or something like that, Amazon S3 or some other storage locker. So you have to pay to contest anything that has been presented to you. If you say, hey, you've been sharing this, and maybe you're just uploading it, there's this catch-22 with this going on, and basically you're guilty, and you have to prove yourself innocent, and completely against what's going on with our court of law system here in the United States, supposedly. And he's basically goes on to say this is peace of mind. He says $9.95 is a small price to pay compared to a headache of tussling with any ISP over potential piracy notifications. And so what I did is I actually loaded a VPN on one of my laptops because I've never played with one before. And I've been using it for the last few days. And from what I can tell, at least from my implementation of it in using it, there was really no effect on my performance. I was able to get email, do everything I normally do. The only difference is I was now AKA protected from snooping eyes of someone else. Now, how effective is that going to be in the long run? If they subpoena that group for information, I don't think you're protected because you put in a credit card to get this account signed up, so it's not like they're above the law. But I guess it's an extra step here, and I don't do any peer-to-peer. I really don't have anything specifically to hide. I'm not out there downloading movies or media that I didn't pay for. But, these folks have gotten a little bit over the top in their amount of data that they're going to be looking at from they're going to be sampling the stream of our media going through their services. And they're going to be sniffing everything that we do on the internet. Will this VPN protect me completely? I don't think so, because I'm sure some of this sniffing gear is going to go inside the internet service providers, and I'm sure that they're still going to know what type of traffic's being moved through my pipe. So I guess we'll see where this goes. But my whole point on trying to VPN out was just to see how effective it was and how it worked. And I guess again, I consider it effective. I don't necessarily need it, but who needs another $10 bill a month, right? And so I'll do the trial period and probably shut it off. But then in the back of your mind, you're kind of like, And I put it on the laptop I travel a lot with, because that's one of the recommendations is that you use it when you're staying at hotels, because those are more susceptible to basically being sniffed out and your content captured. So, how many of you are going to be, send me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, and let me know how many of you are actually using, and you don't have to, I don't have to talk about it on the air, I don't have to say your name, but I'm trying to get a rough poll on how many of you are now using a VPN and was concerned about this new ISP/Hollywood 6 strike rule that's in effect. And I'll have the link up to this article. It's over on Extreme Tech, and really good write-up by Joel Hruska, Hurska. And, he's nervous that he's going to get, automatically flagged. So I'm not quite that nervous, but at the same time, all it would take was my kids to download one thing that they're not supposed to, right? All right, we're going to switch gears here completely. We're going to talk about Windows. And I've upgraded one laptop here. Of course, I have the Surface that I've been playing with. I've been playing with Surface a lot in the living room and using it to load a variety of different things. Of course, I loaded the podcast producer app on the Surface, and I've been using that. Of course, I sent some recommendations back to the F5 Live guys and said, hey, this is what needs to be improved on that. They're working on version 2 right now. So at least there's something out there to download podcasts on Windows 8. It's a good start. It's better than the other junk that was basically available on the Windows App Store for podcasting at this point. But, I've been looking for tips and tricks. And some folks are using what's called Rooms on Windows 8. And it's basically the ability to look at basically have a thread going with a group of people. And there's a good setup for this. So for those of you that are basically have multiple Windows 8 machines now and a Windows 8 phone, you're definitely going to want to look at this room calendar. And it'll allow you to collaborate your schedules on Windows 8 and, of course, on Windows Phone 8 as well. So definitely check this out for those of you that have made the jump completely. This is a great article over at blogs.window.com talking about how to use and how to set up this new feature called Rooms on Windows Phone 8 and, of course, on the desktop as well. Switching gears here, Microsoft has sold 40 million Windows 8 licenses. That's pretty incredible considering the news that came out that said they hadn't sold that many. So we'll see where this goes. That's outpacing actual Windows 7 sales, which is surprising. So we'll see where this leads, and if they actually, if they've sold that many, that's a pretty incredible start to what I thought would be a little bit less. I thought it'd be lackluster, to be honest with you. And I tell you, I've got an article on Geek News Central today that one of our writers wrote that I'm going to review here in a few minutes. But a really cool tool that really kind of improves the performance, or actually makes Windows 8 more usable, in my opinion. But the Surface family, the Windows 8 Pro pricing has came out. 64 gig standalone versions, $899. The 128 gig standalone version is available for $999. So again, $899 and $999 respectively. So and only $100 difference between 64 gigs and 128. So anyway, Surface with Windows 8 Pro uses the same familiar, elegant design principles as Surface with Windows RT, including the dark titanium Vapor MG casing. It has intended design specifically for Surface, and of course the kickstand. It does have some major differences, though. On the inside of the Surface with Windows 8 Pro will come the Intel Next Generation Core i5 processor. This will give Surface with Windows Pro a graphic boost for its 10.6 16 by 9 clear type display that runs at 1920 by 1080 Full HD resolution. Of course, Surface with Windows 8 Pro also includes a full-size USB 3.0 port. It also has a mini display port, can drive an external display up to 2560 by 1440. And of course, the Windows 8 Pro will support a pen input. So that's pretty amazing. So Surface with Windows 8 Pro will run your current Windows 7 desktop application. It's a full PC and a tablet. It's going to weigh less than 2 pounds. It's going to be 14 millimeters thick. It's going to have half the battery life of the Windows 8 RT. So if you're waiting for the Windows 8 Pro, $899, $999. I think I'll go shopping around and see what the other vendors have. Seems a little high. All right, many of you, I'm sure, with the number of people that have seen that viral video Gangnam Style. Of course, every time I say it, my son laughs at me because he says I say it wrong. Because he's got all these. He's going to school here in Hawaii. He's got all these. His Korean friends are teaching him Korean. So, Gangnam Style with lights. So they got a house out there that has a Christmas version of Gangnam Style, and Gangnam Style. Excuse me. So if you want to watch this choreography that this guy put together, it's over at listendoorlights.com, or it's on Gizmo as well. It's entertaining 4 minutes that you'll never get back, but you can watch the first couple of minutes. They did a pretty good job on this from a choreography standpoint and putting that together. AirPlay for everyone? Zapstreak. And actually, I was being talked about Zapstreak today with someone. It's kind of funny. I have these conversations with buddy of mine that are techies, and I got a buddy that's a hardcore Android guy, and I've been talking about my experience on the LG. So he's doing everything in his power to convert me. And he said, and I was saying, well, on the iPhone or on the iPad, I can do AirPlay and make that work. He said, well, you haven't heard about Zapstreak, right? And I'm like, no. He's telling me about it, how it worked, and so Zapstreak today has basically announced that they feel that in the next few months, they're going to be able to, through their SDK, they're going to be able to make the Android basically be able to basically go out over AirPlay. And they're going to be talking with Apple. They think it's okay. Apple's terms and conditions don't forbid someone for basically writing a protocol for this. So it would be amusing to be able to stream from an iOS device to any DLNA equipped TV without the need for an Apple TV. So developers using SDK are pretty excited about this particular feature. Of course, Miracast is something that's available already for those of you using Android. This phone has Miracast capability. You have to have that extra stick as well. But, I love the idea of being able to pair up mobile devices in a television set, and I want to use cool apps to do it. Not everybody does, but I think it's really important, and it works out really well. So we'll see where this goes. And but again, it seems to be an interesting concept that an Android user would, visiting a friend with an Apple TV, would be able to stream content from the handset to that receiver. That would be really, really cool. So we'll see where this leads. And but keep an eye out. Zapstreak. You'll definitely want to suck up the content on that anytime you see an article about Zapstreak. See where they're going. All right, many of you probably picked up Redbox movies over the Thanksgiving holiday. Shot of H2O there. The folks over at GigaOM have some launch details of Redbox Instant revealed. And I'm going to tell you, if they have a movie lineup that's similar to the folks at Netflix, Netflix is in trouble. Subscriptions are going to start at $6 a month. It's going to give users unlimited access to the service subscription video catalog. This catalog is expected to be much smaller than Netflix, but it includes some titles also offered by the competitor, including Iron Man 2 and Thor. An $8 a month membership will add 4 Redbox credits to the streaming package. It can be redeemed for Redbox DVD rentals, which is big. User will be able to reserve their DVDs from the Instant website and mobile apps. That's going to change things completely. Redbox Instant will initially be available on the web for Android and iOS devices, the Xbox 360. Select Samsung TVs and Blu-ray players. Customers will be able to register up to 5 devices to access the service. Just like Netflix, Redbox Instant is using Silverlight for streaming for the web. And beta testers are being told they won't be able to access the DVDs included in their subscription at some will be able to access some DVDs starting around December 17th. But there are a number of screenshots that have come up that's been made available on what this is going to look like. And, the phone app. So some people have gotten access to this. So if you're a Redbox fan, I think you're going to be excited with this particular feature. I like the idea. $8 is a no-brainer because $8 you get 4 credits out of the Redbox box. Those are $1 something now, right? $1.40 or whatever they are. So, you're almost there from a credit standpoint to do this. It just makes sense to have the $8 subscription. My wife is going to go crazy over this. She's a big Redbox fan. She's not so much Netflix anymore because it just seems there's not as many movies on Netflix these days, and it's harder to find stuff that she wants to watch. Now, if you're a Gmail user, you're going to love this. How many of you are using Google Gmail Drive? Google Drive. There's a lot of documents I have in Google Drive, and let me see if I can bring up something here and just give you an idea. So if you're using Gmail already, there's a link on your profile. And let's see here. Can I bring this up without showing anything I'm not supposed to? Yeah. So if you load that up and then you click the Drive button, it's basically lists all the stuff. And I've got stuff in here like business plan, bookings, and so forth, a variety of different documents. So not going to leave that open too long. But what you can do now with Gmail and Drive is, you can keep files, documents, and so forth up there. And what's important here is that oftentimes we've tried to attach big files and you can't. It just makes it real hard to do so, to send via email. So if you've ever tried to attach a file to an email only to find out it's too large to send, now with Drive, you can insert files up to 10 gigs. That's 400 times larger than you can send as a traditional attachment. And because you're sending a file stored in the cloud, all your recipients will have access to the same most up-to-date version. So instead of having the attach button where you attach the file, you link to the actual Drive file. So with like a smart assistant, Gmail is also going to double check that your recipients have access to any of the files you're sending. And this works kind of like Gmail's forgotten attachment detector. So whenever you send a file from the Drive that isn't shared with everyone, you'll be prompted with the option to change the file sharing settings without leaving your email. It'll even work with Drive's link pasted directly into email. So this is very, very cool. So whether it's photos that you have from a recent camping trip, video footage from your brother's wedding, or a presentation to your boss, you can put this up in Drive and not worry about file attachment sizes. Now, the key here is you got to use the new Gmail Compose feature, and that should be available to all of you that are using Gmail. So this is really slick. It really is. It kind of reminds me of the feature that they're using with GoToMeeting. When I use the iPad, I can have stuff up in like Dropbox and attach that and send it as part of the presentation. So, or even load it as part of my presentation. So that's something that's pretty awesome. But anyway, Gmail and Drive is a new way to send files, and I could see this becoming popular with people that are sending files they probably shouldn't be sending. By the way, those of you that are watching the show tonight, how you like the new haircut? Was over at Marine Corps Base Kaneohe, and there's a barber over there that I really like. And I walked in, and she says, "Oh my God, you look shaggy, dude. Sit down here and let me fix you up." And she's one of my favorite barbers. I don't get to see her very often, and she did. She She didn't quite give me a Marine high and tight, but she said, what do you want? I said, I want a number 1 on the side, get rid of the sideburns, and take it up a few notches. And she did. I came home, and my lovely wife was like, "What did you do?" And she much prefers my hair to be longer and shaggy, which drives me crazy. But she said, you did get a pretty good haircut. That doesn't look too bad. So maybe she's going to let me start keeping it. You know what I also like too? Fellas, when you start getting that gray hair, the shorter you have, it hides it a little better. It doesn't look as, when you're gray on the bottom and brown on top, it's you kind of look weird. So, yeah. So those of you who are watching did lower the ears quite a little bit here and get rid of the excess. I think I'm going to keep this style for a while. All right, 3 apps to customize Windows 8 to your liking. And I want to thank Alan Buckingham, one of our writers at GNC, one of our great writers, for putting this up. And he's basically, of course, we know with the Windows 8, many users love the new operating system, but it seems there's also a few that are a little bit concerned with it, like I am to a certain extent. But there's some pretty cool add-ons. And I think the one I like the most is called Start 8. And this gives you the ability to essentially have all of your, the Start button. And another one is QT Tab Bar, which allows you to have an Explorer Tab Bar, which is kind of slick. So if you watch this video with Start 8, there's really no reason to make the jump, not to make the jump to Windows 8 because you get all the functionality with it. Costs $5, but probably worth every penny from a usability standpoint. And you can easily disable it as well if you don't like it, if you get used to the Windows 8 features. Another article, and this is a new product that's coming out. It's called iStabilizer. And I know a lot of you are using your phones to do GPS drive-by driving. Basically, you put the phone in sideways, and it'll actually act as a GPS for you. So basically, what they've made here for $29.95 is the ability to basically attach to any mobile device and hang it there, so you can use your phone as a GPS. What they should have sold with this as well was an external battery hookup, and I think that would have made it even more impressive. But I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check that out. And I want to thank KL for the write-up on this. The next article is one that was written by Jen, and I got a whole bunch of comments on this from a lot of people that people are starting to really love Jen's articles. And she wrote an article up on Playdom. Playdom games don't require Facebook. And Jen had recently got rid of her Facebook account. So, she's pretty happy here that she can play a lot of cool games through Playdom. And so definitely check this out. 2 or 3 of the games that you can play on Playdom website is Garden Time, Blackwood, and Bell Mysteries. The ones that she used to play on Facebook. Both are basically find the hidden object type of games. Another game she missed playing was called actually Garden of Time. So she's back and playing some of those games. Of course, there's the Zynga games as well at Zynga.com. And matter of fact, there was an announcement today that Zynga and Facebook have kind of parted ways in some of their partnership type stuff. So you'll be able to, basically, you're going to play most of those games now from Zynga over at Zynga. But definitely check out Playdom, PLAYDOM.com. Again, if you've got comments on tonight's show, at geeknews@gmail.com is the email address. Just remember Geek News. You'll find me on the web real easy. One thing that I've been watching for, and maybe I've just completely missed it, is, here doing the show, I do use over-the-ear earphones, and it works out real handy, but this is still hooked to a wire. And, if those of you watching, I still have I'm still attached to the hip. And there's some ways now where I could actually have a Bluetooth transmitter. And if I got some of these Bluetooth headsets, some of these in-ear ones, and I've tried a couple, and none of them have really been to the standard that I really was looking for, and a little bit slow on the feedback, so I had a little bit of a lag. But Jaybird has launched what's called the Blue Buds X. It's an in-the-air blue with a headphone for $169.95. These look pretty slick, and they're pretty nice. I'd hate to dump $169 to test these things. But one thing's for sure is that it's nice to not have all these extra wires. Now, you still have to charge these things on a regular basis, but, being able to just push from a device into your ears without the wires is really incredible. So the folks who are Engadget have a good review on them. Again, they're $169, but maybe worth an attempt to completely get unwired and not have to be chained here as much as I want to be for the for the feedback on the show. But definitely want to check these out. If anybody's had any experience with this company, I'd love to hear from you. Geeknews at gmail.com. Now, one thing I've noticed, and this is just a comment, I've been fine every day from a sinus perspective. And I get in here for the show, I close the door, turn on the fan, and immediately my nose starts to run. I have no idea if it's an allergy thing or it's kind of got me baffled because as soon as the show's over, I open the door again and get more. I don't know if there's dust in here. It could be when I start kicking, all the fans on for all the computers. So I think one thing we're going to do Saturday before I fly out is break open all the computer cases and vacuum them out and see if that helps. But it just drives me nuts. Everything's good, and all of a sudden, as soon as I start the show, I start getting the sniffles. And it has to be dust or some environmental thing here in the studio. And it's been going on for a while. I've been noticing it, and it just drives me crazy because nothing more I hate than sniffling in your ear. I need one of those hush buttons to silence myself when I guess for a better word, have to snort. All right, Android 102 wireless file transfer. If any of you are using Linux and have an Android phone, you definitely want to check out this Wi-Fi File Explorer Pro. It's 99 cents, and basically it lets you connect with your device and pull files off your Android device. So if you're using an Android phone and you're a Linux user, you definitely want to check this out. I've been following a series of articles over on Wired and a variety of other places talking about hackers. There's a guy that was just convicted recently of a hack that he did. A guy by the name Weave. And Weave is kind of in celebrity circles right now from Hackers Go, but he was found guilty last week of computer intrusion for obtaining the unprotected email addresses of more than 100,000 iPad owners from the AT&T website, and then he passed them over to journalists. His sentencing is set for February 25th, and they don't know how long he's going to go to jail, but he's probably going to go to jail for a while. But, Web is kind of been defined as an internet troll, and he's been busy in the space for quite a while, but from what I understand, he's pretty brilliant. And, I love, the guys that are on the hacker scene. They do some cool stuff. And, but, basically, Wired is basically coming out and telling hackers, hey, you need to shut up. He says, Wired says right now there's a hacker out there somewhere producing a 0-day attack. When he's done, his exploit will enable whatever parties possess it to X thousands, even millions of computer systems. But the critical moment isn't production. It's distribution. What will the hacker do with his exploit? So, hackers could sell to a third party. The hacker could notify a vendor who may or may not patch. The vendor will patch, but the pickup could be slow. The vendor creates an armored executable with anti-forensics method to prevent reverse engineering. And of course, there's really no black and white rules on how things should work and what if the person decides to report. But basically what they're doing now is Wired is just basically saying here is it may be time for hackers to shut up. They're putting them in jail if they find a security hole and if they've exploited anything. This guy did not sell these files. He passed them over to a journalist. And, from that standpoint, they're going to throw the book at him. So, vendors are motivated to protect their profits and their shareholders' interests over everything else. Governments are motivated to value their own security interests, of course, over individual rights of their citizens. As for many information security players, it's far more lucrative to sell these hacks that are available to people. And, of course, a lot of these hackers will not act ethically or capably. And, of course, oftentimes the original hacker doesn't often get paid. Someone else rips off the hack and makes it available for sale. So white hat are the hackers who decide to disclose to the vendor or the public. Yet the so-called white hats of the world have been playing in a role in distributing digital arms throughout their disclosures. So basically, they're saying that criminals are preferring white hats because their work is far more reliable than code provided from underground sources. And many malware authors actually lack the sophistication to alter even existing exploits to increase their effectiveness. So it is an interesting move here by Wired to, saying that hackers should keep security holes to themselves. And so that's kind of a scary thing to think that they would suggest that. But this is a complicated issue. If you find something and you've actually hacked into something, have you committed a crime? And then at the same time, you're going to tell the vendor about that hack. They can react by saying thank you, but they're going to immediately be watching you. And hackers are responsible for closing a lot of loopholes that are out there. So it's definitely something to think about. All right, robotics folks, especially those of you that are not Terminator. Oh my gosh. Bots. Oh, I'm pulling a brain fart here. All right, let me just describe what this guy has done. Brave Robotics has a transforming robot car. This is pretty incredible. And what it is it's a car that basically stands up and it uncurls itself. This guy's making these available. He's only got 10 for sale right now. And how come I'm having a brain fart here when it comes to the movie? My kids love it. I love the movie. Oh my God. My brain is like pulling one of those brain farts of all times right now. Transformers. Thank you, the chat room. My God, I am horrible. So anyway, this thing is incredible. I can't play the video because it'll get taken down for copyright violation. But when you see this, there's not going to be a geek one that is going to not want one of these. I'm sure this is probably out of the price range of the majority of us. But when you see this video, it's over at Technabob, Techna, Bob.com. Just do a Google search for Brave Robotics Transforming Robot Car. You've got to see this video. Once you've seen it, you're going to flip out. Definitely not a toy for the kids. This is not, this thing is, I would not be surprised if this thing was $5,000. Their website has been hit so hard that it wasn't even loading. Now, let me see if I can load it now. If it actually, nope, it's still, this is what's happening on their website. Those of you that are watching, it comes up with a service temporarily not available. Their site is offline. I mean, it's been destroyed. This is how crazy people have went over this thing. And I guess he's only got, like I said, he's only got 10 of these for sale. And it's going to be expensive. And the robot will come fully assembled, programmed, along with a wireless controller, 4 rechargeable batteries, a battery charger, a motion edit software, and a serial cable. And he plans to build a life-size robot car by 2030. But dudes and ladies, this is a Christmas present. And if you can tell I'm excited about it, I am. It is not something I would normally buy, but when you see this thing work and the workmanship that went into it, it's incredible. It looks like a high-performance sports car, and the next thing it is standing up. It's a transformer. And it's got a camera in it. It's a 1/12 scale. It can fire plastic projectiles from its arms, and again, has a camera that can send live footage over a Wi-Fi connection. So I can't wait to see what the price is on this thing. But definitely the world has went crazy with this, having seen this for the first time, and the site has been decimated. They definitely had a much bigger than a dig effect on their website. So Dale, thanks for helping me out with my brain fart here. I guess maybe that's what we need to have. It used to be Toddisms. Now it needs to be Todd's brain farts or something, keeping a list like that. You know, don't you hate that when it's right there with your on the edge of your brain and that neuron won't fire? So anyway, crazy stuff. All right, let's talk about something totally crazy too. U.S. had plans to nuke the moon. Yes, this is a true project funded by the U.S. government. It's been recently declassified, Project A119. It was hatched in 1958, a time when the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a nuclear arms race that would last decades and drive the two superpowers to the verge of nuclear war. The Soviets had also just launched Sputnik 1, the world's first satellite. The U.S. was falling behind the space race and needed a big splash. People were worried very much by the first human in space, and basically they said we need to figure out how to, how to make this happen. And their motivation for such a detonation was clearly threefold: scientific, military, and political. The military considerations were obviously very frightening. The report said a nuclear detonation on the moon could yield information concerning the capability of nuclear weapons for space warfare. And the guy said that in military circles at the time, there was a discussion of the moon as a military high ground. Now, that's something that's been used in other discussions on different, and this is not necessarily a new term, but the talks also included having a nuclear launch site on the moon. The thinking, according to one of the folks that was involved with the project, was if the Soviets hit the United States with nuclear weapons first and wiped out the U.S., the ability to strike back, the U.S. could launch warheads from the moon. So the basic plan was for an intercontinental ballistic missile to be launched from an undisclosed location, travel some 240,000 miles to the moon, and detonate on impact. So project leaders considered using an atom bomb the same size as Little Boy, the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, of course. So can you imagine if they had done this? Think about this. We'd have made our own crater on the moon. And I just can't imagine what the fallout of this would have been, not only from today, it wouldn't even be considered, because if anybody did something like this, the environmental people would just go through the roof, and public opinion would not be good. It would scar the face of the moon for sure. Would it be visible from Earth? Probably, because you really have no air to slow down the impact. It would be pretty spectacular, I would think. Now, I don't know if they've ever done a space nuclear detonation or not. So, I know they've done underground and, of course, surface tests in the past. But, so that would be pretty amazing. It would. But it's just pretty incredible if they actually considered this back in the late 50s. Now, speaking of space, last week Curiosity was able to use its sample analysis at Mars to confirm not necessarily life, but they basically have found plastic on Mars. Now, how plastic is formed and ended up on the Martian surface is quite an exciting mystery that sparks a lot of questions. The type of plastic sampled, as we know so far, can only be formed using petrochemicals, meaning not only that there could be possibly a source of oil on the red planet, but somehow it got turned into plastic. Even more interesting is that oil or petrochemicals used to create this type of plastic are only known to come from ancient fossilized organic materials, the same as that what powers our vehicles today, such as zooplankton and algae, with which a geochemical process convert into oil, pointing to this is pretty earth-shaking evidence that there was once life on Mars. Right now, they're working on multiple hypotheses, and each hypothesis makes certain predictions about things like what spherules, spherules, are made and how they were distributed. And he says, our job as we explore Matajavik Hill in the months ahead will be make the observation. Let us test all the hypotheses carefully and find the one that best fits the observations. So, plastic on Mars. That's pretty incredible. Let's think about that for a few minutes. Plastic. You know, plastic dumped in the ocean lasts a long time, and it gets wear down over time. And, plastic in sand would wear down too. But if you think about, I didn't know plastic could be naturally occurring. To me, when someone says they have, the plastic, it's like man-made, right? Mars-made for sure. But this is pretty incredible to think about what this could mean. Was there life as we know it? Obviously, we don't think so. But who knows? If they found plastic, boy, it's going to have people talking for a long time. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more scientific information come out. And I'm not someone that would know, all of the chemical stuff that required to make this happen. But, does plastic naturally occur? I don't think it does it? Or if there's the right heat and pressure, maybe, that is, I guess what we ought to do is we ought to look up today how modern plastic is made and be able to get an idea. Definitely heat, heat is involved and certain mixing of chemicals and pressure. So we'll see where this goes, but this has got to be a big deal and just kind of weird. No organic life, plastic. It just seems to me, it kind of strikes me kind of funny. All right, let's switch gears completely here, and we'll move on to the next topic. If you're a Nextel user, Sprint's going to be charging a Nextel net user an extra $10 a month. The charge comes as Sprint tries to shift users off IDN ahead of a June 2013 shutdown. So that is a motivation. They're trying to get people to move. So I know people like their push to talk a lot. Hey, the guy that's been suing Google, Paul Segula, the guy that's been trying to say he owns half? Well, this guy is racking up all kinds of court costs. A federal magistrate has ordered him to pay social network Facebook almost $90,000 attorney fees today. The order becomes Segula's last-minute cancellation of legal disposition that Facebook had already paid its lawyers to do. He was also asked to reimburse an additional $7,000 in travel and lodging expenses for the social network experts that were to be disposed. So this guy is in big trouble. He's going to end up bankrupt if he isn't already. But court just offered him to pay up $97,000. This isn't the first time he's had to pay up. So I hope this guy's got deep pockets, because if not, he's going to end up in jail before this is all over. And Google's going to Facebook's going to own him. Hey, last week we talked a little bit about the DOD and basically them just saying that any drones and stuff will have a positive human control before triggers being pulled. But there's also some more analysis that's come out in some of the statements being made that says U.S. cyber weapons will be exempt from human judgment requirement. So, a recently issued Department of Defense directive signed by Deputy Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter set military policy for the design and use of autonomous weapon systems in combat. The directives intended to minimize unintended engagements, weapon systems attacking targets other than enemy forces, or weapon systems causing collateral damage. But the directives specifically exempt autonomous cyber weapons. So you kind of think about that. The way denial of service attacks and so forth happen, there has to be some sort of automatic response, and you kind of understand why they made this. But it's basically the cyber threat is going to be they are going to allow a countermeasure to be autonomous. So that's an interesting move here, and it's interesting discussion. As part of the effort, DARPA examining the use of commercial tools used by security experts as part of a penetration testing and hardening, including a Metasploit and immunity cameras, as well as mission runtime environment that can run automated sets of attacks. So basically, they're trying to test our defenses while at the same time building offensive type of countermeasure stuff, which is smart. I'm glad to see this happen. There's another great article about the talking about Google Fiber and some more experiences that some writers have had. I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to check out. Some mixed results on this specific article from ours. Also, there's a new accessory for smartphones that analyze your body to keep the doctor away. According to Forbes, Scandu, not to be confused with Zandu, hopes to lessen the number of times you have to make a trek to the doctor's office with its new smartphone accessory. Scandu's new device reads vital signs on your body and then transmits them to a smartphone where they can be analyzed by the company's app in real time. So they have 3 such devices in works called Scandu Scout, which reads vital signs from a person's tempo, Project ScanFlow that analyzes urine, and Project Scan Flu, which can test a person's saliva for cold or flu systems. All 3 devices are still pending FDA approval, but the Scout appears to be the furthest along development. Scandu claims that the device will cost less than $150 and record and analyze vital information like blood pressure, pulse, heart rate, blood oxygenation, and temperature. So that's cool. That could be sent off to the doctor's office. So they hope to anonymize the data, too, to build information about trends. But it's nice to see I'm sure we're going to see all this kind of stuff at CES. And this is one of the topics that Jamie Davis, the pod medic, he's going to be with us. He's going to be looking for these types of devices, and we'll be covering it. So we'll keep you advised on that. But this is just the kind of stuff I like to see. This is talks about what's going to be happening in the future. Hey, 6 years later, the PlayStation 3 sold 525,000 copies over the Black Friday weekend, according to The Verge. So great sales. Of course, there was 700,000 Xbox 360s were purchased over the weekend alone as well. So big sales and we bought one of those PlayStation 3s. So I know where one of them went. Hey, we're getting towards the end of the year. There's going to be lots of end of the year articles. The AFP photos of the 2012 provide a visual stunning of history of the past year. So I have this link up in the show notes. There's a collection of 99 images and a variety of subjects, from lighter content like the 2012 London Olympic Space Shuttle Enterprise and a variety of other cool pictures. So I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to review. Let's see here. Oh, first company, and this is really exciting. We'll see Griffin at CES. We'll get some hands-on with these cables. But first third-party Lightning cables come in with multiple links from Griffin. So if you have some Lightning devices, again, these are the first third-party Lightning cables available, and they're not cheap. Boy, oh boy, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 length are available at $16.99, $18.99, $24.99, and $29.99, respectively. More expensive than the 3 foot cable from Apple. They're not really undercutting prices here. They're just giving more flexibility in length and a black color scheme. So again, third-party Lightning cables are available from Griffin. We'll be definitely looking at those at CES. There's no doubt, no doubt about that. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, Facebook had announced basically, I didn't know that there was like these voting mechanisms within Facebook for subjecting Facebook to changes. But Facebook has made it official. You have no say in the governance and how Facebook moves forward in different types of features and some of the privacy stuff. So basically, they snuck that one through over the holidays, and I'm sure they're very pleased with themselves. They strategically did that when everyone was paying attention to Turkey and not being so adept at what was going on with Facebook. But I'll have the full details. If you want the gory details, I'll have the link up in the show notes over on dashes.com. Hey, Unix fans, listen up. Dell has released a powerful, well-supported Linux Ultrabook. So the Ultralap 430 is available. And so this is an XPS laptop from them. And this developer edition features a number of upgrades over the Pilot Project Sputnik hardware, including a i5 or i7, 8 gigs of RAM. It's got 256 gigs SATA 3 as an SSD and retains the Pilot version 1366 by 768. The laptop comes with Ubuntu Linux 12.0.4 LTS, plus a few features. So this is exciting stuff here. This is a nice, powerful Linux Ultrabook released by the folks over at Dell, and it looks pretty nice too. A standard XPS form factor. I've got an XPS laptop I'm real pleased with. Great performance, great graphics on it that I'm running Windows 7 on. Senate committee has approved a bill requiring warrants for email. This is big. A Senate committee on Thursday unanimously backed the sweeping digital privacy protections requiring the government for the first time to get a probable cause warrant to obtain email and other content stored in the cloud. The sponsor was by Senator Patrick Leahy, Democrat of Vermont. Let's see here. Is this going to get stuck in committee? Is it going to move through? Where's the chance of this is going to get pushed? So we'll see if this moves forward. But doesn't look like it's got any major delays. It says currently government can obtain email without a warrant as long as the content has been stored on a third-party server for 180 days or more, and only needs to often be an administrative subpoena that was reasonable grounds. The measure and its minor amendments still face tough fights before the full Senate and in the House, is likely to be revised to comport with concerns from the Justice Department and other lawmakers that the bill is soft on crime. The measure is not expected to reach the Senate floor until sometime next year. So we'll see if this moves forward. They got to get this fiscal cliff stuff figured out first. Kick is an online video site. Now, 30 million users. Kick introduced a subtle multimedia sharing feature, and it's part of its path to profitability and making money. So if you're a Kick user, you'll definitely want to check that out. There's also a rumor today. Merrill Lynch is predicting that T-Mobile is going to get the iPhone next week. A lot of people are saying that T-Mobile's not ready. Of course, T-Mobile also made some comments last week that said it'd be too expensive to get the iPhone. But T-Mobile is aggressively completing its network rollout. It's been inviting customers with unlocked iPhones to sign up for SIM card services. And so this is kind of an interesting move here. And I'll definitely be unlocking my iPhone 4S so that we can probably put a T-Mobile SIM in it. Syria was cut off from the internet. There's a great article about how it happened, and it looks to me like the Syrian government took the site down. If nothing else, watch the video on this page. It's pretty cool. I've never seen one of these type of tools, but it shows the connections within Syria just collapse. So it's a pretty interesting video. Also, iTunes version 11 is available for download and upgrade. I have not done that myself, but I also heard there's an upgrade to the Apple TV. So once you get iTunes 11, did I say iPhone? iTunes 11, you can do the upgrade to the Apple TV. So far, everyone seems to think it's a pretty good upgrade. ComScore is a group that's been basically looking at web page loads on websites. So ComScore now is adding up web and mobile and app eyeballs for the very first time. This is a big news. So basically, they're going to give a combined numbers to see how many people are coming via mobile apps and normal web browsers. So interesting move on their part. I've never thought that their scoring has been overall accurate. Anytime I look up my site, it's many, many multiples lower than the actual traffic that we actually get here on the website. Also, if you travel a lot, like I do, you might be in the market for what's it's a den in a trunk. Although I don't know if this will actually fit in an airport luggage thing. It unfolds and basically makes a bed in a little drawer and everything for you. It only costs $26,500. So not something that you're going to just buy. You can buy a doggone house cheaper on this stupid. Oh, $26,500. Still, it's pretty pricey. But if you want a little portable thing that you can lay down in, this might be the ticket. But $26,500, and I don't think you'll be able to check this particular invention as checked luggage. All right, Sharp. Of course, Sharp has been in a lot of trouble financially. Sharp is going to deliver a 5-inch 1080p smartphone. Sadly, most of us are not going to be able to get access to it. It's only going to be released, I believe, in Hong Kong and where else? In Russia. The Sharp Aquos SH930W will be headed to Russia and Hong Kong, and we'll see if it eventually makes it here to the United States, but initially not. But it's a pretty nice, big phone, 5 inches, great size. And a spider that spent 100 days aboard the International Space Station has returned home to basically a refuge, and is going to live out its remaining days there instead of in space. So Gizmodo has the video about Neffy aboard the International Space Station, their temporary home. So talking about how that worked. So Neffy has hung up her spacesuit and retired to a quiet life in the insect zoo at the National Museum of Natural History. Okay, so that's going to wrap me up as far as articles go tonight. Let's see what I've got in from an email standpoint. And a lot didn't come in, I don't think. And let me look here. What do we have? Today's date is the 29th. Last show was on the night of the 26th. So a few things come in. Got an email here from MS Small Biz. Hey, Todd. So I noticed you've been getting your feet wet with Windows 8. And I want to put my 2 cents forward on how I feel Microsoft has totally failed to provide an OS that meets the needs of the users and why the entire concept of Windows 8 is flawed. First and foremost, Windows 8 is designed to be touched. This in itself would be okay if we all use a touch interface. However, the bulk of users who are in front of a PC 8 hours a day are not using a touch interface, nor will they. These users are running business applications as Excel, QuickBooks, and industry-specific software that they've spent years getting a solid feel for. These users know how to do their assignment tasks, know the shortcuts and where to click. They are data entry in one form or another, which means hands on a keyboard, and that mouse is right beside the keyboard. Any touch interface is nothing but a curtain over the top of what they need to do, and it has to be moved each time. Various software fixes to put the start menu back show that by designing the idea of a tiled touch interface with difficult to manage multiple windows, let alone multiple monitors, broken. Second, and more importantly, I think is the concept of one OS across all devices. If we're going to design an OS based on the lowest common denominator, the slowest, least powerful device, then why on earth do we need a 3 gigahertz Core i7 with 16 gigs of RAM? A smartphone is not a PC. It's not used as a PC, nor can it process those bits of data at the speed of a PC. Why on earth would we want an OS designed to run on something as slow as a PC was 10 years ago on our new CPU, which has the processing power of what used to be considered a supercomputer? This concept that by design cripples the OS and will, in my opinion, hinder innovation on the Windows platform is Microsoft trying to kill off the desktop more than it's already from the increasing use of mobile devices. Yes, in my opinion. He goes on to say, I'm willing to make a prediction. Within 9 months, we'll see Service Pack 1 or some variation of Service Pack with push back to classic start menu and desktop with nothing more than a switch and Explorer. This will be echoed in the corporate world by allowing the setting of the classic desktop via group policy. If we don't see this change, in Microsoft will have another Vista on their hands and OS used and hated by some users that went to Best Buy to get a PC and not deployed by any businesses. The lack of innovation that users will want to drag down their PC segment of the economy as it is already will extend the use of XP up to and past its end of support date and likely drive even more users to Linux or OS 10. I could not agree. Got another email from S Small Biz. He say, Todd, take a look at the Anchor products. Recharge is with a wall wart, not via USB, so recharge times are faster. The 10,000 mAh should power those MiFis for hours on end, plus a smartphone at the same time. Hey, the Anchors are great, and that's what I went with. I actually had one already. I tested it. I went and bought the additional ones. The Anchor recharge products, in my opinion, so far are the top. And that 10,000 mAh one is fantastic. So I agree with you as well. All right, last email tonight. Got one here from Andrew. Say, hey, Todd, hope all's well is here. This is Andrew Darlow out of New Jersey. Glad you're doing good, Andrew. I'm glad you guys didn't get flooded out. He said, just came across this and had to share it. Let me load this here and read this particular article. It's over emarketingandcommerce.com. And he says, parents name their newborn daughter hashtag. Article says, hey, you can name your baby whatever you'd like. India, Brooklyn, DeBrickshaw, Apple, Falcon. But if you're going to give your daughter a weird name, last roll with something that doesn't imply you spent the entire pregnancy cycle staring at your iPhone. Baby hashtag popped into the world on Saturday around 10 p.m. A precious little girl weighing 8 pounds with the name hashtag. Those parents need to be kicked straight to Jimmy. They really do. What are they thinking? Also, I have to give your writers a lot of props for continually doing great reviews and other articles. I especially like the recent Korg MicroStation review by Jen. Jen's gotten 2 big thumbs up this week as well from a variety of different readers as well. So thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. And kudos to Jen out there if she's listening or watching the show for getting the high marks by our listeners. All right, folks, that's going to wrap me up here. We're really long. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out for the whole episode. We'll be back with you next week. We'll be live from the heartland of Texas on a more civil time, probably 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I would think. So if you want to join me, or 8 p.m. Central, one of the two, you want to join me, feel free to do so. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for supporting GoDaddy and GoToMeeting with your support. It keeps the lights on here. As we head into December, watch out for your family, friends, and people that you know. It's a rough time for people this time of year, depending on their relationships situation, family, financial, the whole thing. So keep an eye on people. We don't want to lose anybody this holidays. We had a bad incident happen here in Hawaii on Thanksgiving Day. A sailor basically on watch on one of the ships here shot himself. It was not a good situation. Families were on board the ship that was in port having Thanksgiving dinner on the ship with the sailors. We just don't need to lose good men and women, teenagers, to this type of senseless loss, and it's devastating for everyone. So just keep an eye on your loved ones and give them a hug and a kiss on the forehead, and make sure you reach out to them and make sure they're okay. We don't want another. Suicide in the military is at an all-time high with the pressures and stuff that go on with the deployments and everything. So as you're traveling to and going through airports, and you see that sailor, Marine, Coast Guardman, Airman, Marine, walk up, grab them by the shoulder, tell them thank you for their service. They definitely appreciate it. They'll shrug it off, but I know a lot of guys that are active duty that talk about being approached in airports and bus stops and thank for their service. And if you really want to make a difference, if you see a military family eating dinner sometime and you can financially afford it, go over and grab that check off their table, pay for the dinner, and say thank you. It really helps these folks, and it's definitely a booster to their egos. We got to watch out for these folks and not run into situations where individuals are basically committing and taking their own life. It's a sad situation, and but it goes across board. It's not just military folks. It crossovers into the private sector as well this time of year in a big way. So be safe out there. Take care of your family and friends. And again, thanks for being here and part of our Ohana and part of our family of listeners. I appreciate your attention to the show. Until next time, everyone, take care. We'll see you then. Aloha.